My name is Amelia Moore. I'm 32, and I thought Friday night would be ordinary, just planning our annual summer barbecue with my boyfriend, Jason Hernandez. We'd been together for 4 years, living in my condo, a space I'd bought and nurtured into my little sanctuary. Jason contributed to groceries and utilities, but the condo was mine, or so I thought. We'd always hosted this barbecue together, a joint event where I handled the guest list, side dishes, and decor, while Jason managed the grill, meat, and drinks. It was our ritual, our easy domestic choreography. Everything felt predictable and safe. Until that Wednesday night. I was on the couch, laptop open, finalizing the shopping list for the grocery run when Jason said casually, "Oh, by the way, I invited Vanessa." I froze. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. "Wait, Vanessa?" I asked slowly, forcing myself to remain calm. "The one I dated for 5 years? The one you said was toxic and you had to block on everything?" I continued, my voice barely above a whisper. Jason didn't even look up from his phone. "She's totally different now. She reached out a few weeks ago, apologized for everything. We're just friends. I ran into her last week and told her she could come." I blinked. "You ran into her and invited her to our party, and you're telling me this 3 days before?" He finally looked up, annoyance flickering across his face. "Amelia, don't make this a thing. It's just a party. I can invite my friends." "My friends? This is our home. I'm not comfortable with her being here," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "I've heard enough about her. I don't want her here." He let out a long, almost theatrical sigh. "You're being so insecure. It's unattractive. She's just a friend. I already told her she could come. I'm not uninviting her just because you feel paranoid." I felt a strange heat in my chest. My home, my comfort, dismissed. For a woman who used to be his lover, for someone who wasn't even here yet. "If you're going to be that uncomfortable, you can just leave for the night," Jason added, as if it were a casual suggestion, not a demand. "Go to a bar, see a movie. Don't let your jealousy ruin the evening." I stared at him, the weight of his words sinking in. He was asking me to leave my own home so he could host his ex. Every casual dismissal, every tiny slight over the past months, suddenly clicked into place. This wasn't just a party. This was disrespect in its purest form. I put down the pen I'd been using to check the grocery list. I said quietly, "Understood." Jason smiled, relieved. "Good. Glad you're not going to be a baby about it. I'm heading to bed." I waited until his bedroom door clicked shut. Then I opened my laptop, pulled up the guest list, and began typing. Subject: Canceled Summer Barbecue. Body: Hi everyone. I'm so sorry to do this at the last minute, but I have to cancel this Saturday's barbecue. Jason informed me that he invited his ex-girlfriend Vanessa and suggested that if I was uncomfortable, I should leave my own home for the evening. I cannot host an event under these circumstances. Thank you for understanding, and I hope to see you all soon under better circumstances. Best, Amelia. I hit send. All 50 people received it. Then I went into the guest room and locked the door. The first vibrations came a few minutes later, Jason's phone buzzing violently on the nightstand. The buzzing turned frantic pounding at the bedroom door. "Amelia! Amelia! Unlock the door! What did you do?" I brewed a cup of coffee, savoring the calm of a small act of normalcy, while his shouts escalated into full-blown panic. "You humiliated me! You psycho! You're going to regret this!" I didn't respond. I sipped my coffee. Minutes later, Jason's sister, Celeste, appeared. She didn't knock. She didn't hesitate. She barreled into the condo, rushing to Jason's side. "Oh my God, Jason, are you okay? I saw the email. She's insane. What a psycho." I watched silently, noting every word, every frantic gesture, every desperate plea. Jason turned toward me, expecting me to crumble. "You need to apologize to her," he said. "No," I replied. "I'm not apologizing. I sent the truth. Did you or did you not tell me to leave my own home so you could host Vanessa?" Celeste looked at me like I'd grown a second head. "You're supposed to love him. You're just punishing him." I felt a quiet resolve settle over me. This was not a negotiation. This was my home, my rules, and my dignity. Then came the legal salvo. I opened my desk drawer, printed out a 30-day notice to vacate, and handed a copy to Jason. "What's this?" he sneered. "That's your formal notice," I said calmly. "You have until the 20th of next month to vacate with all your belongings. Our verbal agreement is terminated." Jason and Celeste stared at the paper. "You're evicting me? Over a party?" "No," I said. "Over you telling me to leave my home for another woman. Over you inviting her behind my back. over you showing zero respect for me, my space, and our relationship. The party just exposed it all. Their mouths opened and closed, but no words came. I remained calm, collected, untouchable. For the first time in a long time, I felt in control of my life. And in that silence, I realized this was only the beginning. The night after sending the cancellation email, the condo felt heavier, like the air itself was thick with anticipation. Jason and Vanessa weren't even here, yet their presence loomed. I stayed in the guest room, laptop open, trying to focus on work emails, but every buzz of my phone or creak in the apartment made my chest tighten. Celeste had lingered after the first confrontation, pacing the living room, muttering complaints about my overreaction. She was Jason's sister, fiercely loyal, and clearly unwilling to see anything from my perspective. "You need to calm down, Amelia," she said, arms crossed. "He's your boyfriend. You're supposed to trust him. You're making a huge deal out of nothing." "I don't need to calm down," I replied evenly. "I need to protect my home, my space, and myself. He told me to leave for another woman. That's not nothing." Celeste's jaw tightened. "You're humiliating him in front of everyone. You're supposed to love him, not punish him." I felt a flash of irritation. Love wasn't supposed to mean erasing your boundaries. "I am not punishing him," I said. "I am holding him accountable for his actions. That's very different from punishment." Celeste blinked, then her face softened slightly, though suspicion still lingered. "You're really serious about this, huh?" "I'm serious about myself," I said, standing. "This isn't just about a party. It's about respect, honesty, and the way I allow people to treat me in my own home. If you want to stay, fine. If not, I suggest you leave." Her eyes widened, then narrowed. You're evicting him?" "Yes, 30 days, I said calmly, holding the printed notice in my hand. "Our verbal agreement is terminated. I am terminating this tenancy." Celeste's voice rose. "You can't do that. This is insane. You're going to court over a barbecue?" I shook my head. "It's not over a barbecue. It's over months of disrespect, lies, and manipulation. The party was just the tipping point." She opened her mouth again, then hesitated. I could see the gears turning in her mind. For a moment, I almost felt a flicker of sympathy. Then it was gone. She left, dragging Jason with her, but I knew the battle wasn't over. Over the next few days, the condo became a minefield. Jason tested every boundary, sending frantic texts, calling friends and family, painting me as the villain. Vanessa's name hung like a shadow in every conversation, though she wasn't even present. One evening, Jason showed up at the door unexpectedly, arms wide, face desperate. "Amelia, you're being unreasonable. You're overreacting. Let's just talk." I let him in, but only into the kitchen, keeping the guest room locked. "Talk," I said. "About what?" "How you humiliated me," he spat, voice rising. "You can't just erase our party, our friends, everything." "I didn't erase anything," I replied calmly. "I canceled a party to protect my home and myself from being forced to tolerate your ex. That's not humiliation. That's self-respect." His expression twisted. You're being controlling. Emotional abuse." I smiled faintly, the way you smile when someone's ridiculous claims are obvious. "I'm not controlling. I'm setting boundaries. That's a very important distinction, Jason." He froze, momentarily unsure, but his sister's earlier words echoed in his mind. "She's punishing you. She's humiliating you." Jason and Celeste weren't the only obstacles. Mutual friends called and texted, confused and alarmed, begging me to make peace and apologize. My own patience frayed, but I realized clarity would be my weapon. Every call, every text, I documented. Every accusation, every plea for reconciliation, I saved. By the 5th day, I had a clear plan. If Jason and Vanessa wanted to escalate this, I would meet them head on, but on my terms. I placed the notice prominently on the counter where anyone could see. I organized my documentation, copies of messages, emails, and my financial contributions. I wasn't just defending my home, I was defending my life and my dignity. Celeste called that evening. Her tone was sharper than before. "You're going to regret this. You don't know what you're doing. You're making enemies of everyone." I took a deep breath. "I know exactly what I'm doing. I am reclaiming my life. You and Jason are welcome to stay elsewhere." The line went silent. I didn't wait for a reply. I hung up, walked to the window, and let the city lights wash over me. The storm outside mirrored the one inside me, chaotic, tense, but exhilarating in its clarity. I knew the coming days would be a war of nerves, manipulation, and psychological games. But for the first time in a long time, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Power. Not over Jason, not over Vanessa, not over anyone else, but over myself. And I was ready. The first week of the notice period felt like living inside a war zone. Every day, I navigated a careful minefield of small betrayals and passive-aggressive sabotage. Jason's manipulations were petty but calculated. Vanessa's presence, though distant, was a shadow over every interaction. Dirty trick number 1, the petty war. Jason deliberately made the condo unlivable. He would hog the hot water in the mornings, leaving me shivering under cold showers. He forgot groceries I'd planned for the week, eating exactly the items I needed for meal prep. Late at night, he'd turn on the living room TV to blaring volume and fall asleep on the couch, daring me to confront him. Every act was designed to provoke me, to make me overreact so he could call me the villain. I didn't. I documented it all. Every act, every note, every text. I remained calm, composed, unshakable. Dirty trick number 2, the legal scare. A lawyer showed up at my door with a cease and desist letter filled with typos. According to them, I was harassing Jason and illegally evicting him. They demanded 50% of my condo's equity and $10,000 for emotional distress. I smiled privately. Their legal strategy was as sloppy as it was bold. I had all the proof I needed: my ownership documents, the 30-day notice, copies of messages where Jason explicitly told me to leave. Truth, well documented, is an impenetrable shield. Dirty trick number 3, the property grab. My favorite art print, a limited edition from 2017, suddenly had a bright pink sticky note declaring it, "Vanessa's Do Not Pack." She was lying, hoping I wouldn't have proof. I dug through my old receipts, found the original gallery invoice, and taped it next to her note. Her claim evaporated the moment she saw the evidence. Even in these small battles, I felt a strange surge of power. Jason and Vanessa thought they could manipulate me, scare me, destabilize me, but I was ready. I began tracking movements with subtle surveillance, security cameras in the living room and kitchen. When Jason confronted me about spying, I remained calm. "It's my home," I said. "I'm documenting my property and safety." Then came the real revelation. While managing our shared toll pass account, I noticed a pattern. Every Tuesday and Thursday night for the past 8 months, Jason's car exited at a residential area across the bridge, directly near Vanessa's apartment complex. Late-night yoga sessions with his sister Celeste conveniently aligned with these drives. I leaned back, realization dawning. The party, the pretense of friendship with Vanessa, the invitation, they weren't random. Jason had been running a double life, normalizing Vanessa in our social circle, preparing for a transition where he could have it all without appearing guilty. The confrontation was inevitable. The next time Jason returned, I had the toll records ready, my evidence documented and undeniable. "Amelia," he said, icy calm now, "how did you ran across the bridge 8 months straight to meet Vanessa, disguised as yoga sessions with your sister," I said, laying the printout on the counter. "The party wasn't a party, it was a setup." His face crumpled, not with tears or anger, but with the unmistakable look of being caught red-handed. Silence filled the condo. Not a word, not an excuse, just the stark, undeniable truth. 18 days, I said softly. "You can leave now, or we wait. Your choice." He retreated to the bedroom, locking the door. I didn't chase him. My lawyer had already prepared responses to any false claims. I had the evidence, I had the law, and I had my resolve. At that moment, I realized something else. I wasn't just protecting my condo. I was protecting my life, my dignity, and my understanding of what healthy love should look like. Jason's betrayal was monumental, but my response was equally powerful. For the first time in years, I felt untouchable, not through dominance, but through clarity, preparation, and self-respect. The final week of the 30-day notice felt surreal. Every day I expected Jason or Vanessa to throw another curveball, but I was ready. I had my documentation, my lawyer on standby, and a plan for every possible scenario. The day the notice expired, I came home from work at 1:00 p.m., expecting confrontation. And there he was, Jason, sitting on the couch, surrounded by boxes, pretending casual calm, like it was just another Tuesday. "Jason," I said firmly, "it's 1:00 p.m. The notice expired. You need to leave." He looked up slowly, a smirk forming on his face. "No, I don't think I will. My lawyer says this is illegal. You'll have to go through the courts to evict me. I exhaled slowly, remaining calm. This was expected. I pulled out my phone and dialed the non-emergency police line. Hello? I said evenly. I'd like a civil standby to remove a trespasser. A former tenant at will has failed to vacate after a legal 30-day notice. His smirk vanished, replaced with wide-eyed panic. You're calling the cops. You're throwing me out. This is trespassing. Within 20 minutes, 2 officers arrived, a man and a woman. Jason erupted into tears, the facade finally cracking. My girlfriend is throwing me out. I have nowhere to go. She's abusive. She's filming me. The female officer's face hardened with judgment. I anticipated this. Calmly, I handed over a folder containing my condo deed in my name only, my driver's license matching the address, a copy of the 30-day notice, a notarized affidavit of service. This is a civil matter, I explained. The tenancy ended at noon today. He is trespassing. The male officer reviewed the papers, nodding. The female officer shifted from hostility to neutral professionalism. Ma'am, the male officer said to Jason, this all appears to be in order. You need to gather your belongings and vacate the premises. Jason's last card, the art print, crumbled under evidence. I showed them the original 2017 gallery receipt. There was no dispute. I had proof. Outside, Celeste waited with a rented van. It took 4 trips to move all the boxes. All the while, Celeste muttered under her breath, "Asshole. You'll get yours." Jason kept his head down, silent now. The bravado evaporated. As he walked out for the last time, he stopped in the doorway, venom in his voice. You're a monster, Amelia. Cold, heartless. I hope you're happy alone. I will be, I said quietly, and shut the door. I double-locked it, chain on, and leaned back against it. My heart pounded, not from fear, but adrenaline and relief. A week later, I received one final certified letter from Jason's lawyer demanding compensation for the art print. My lawyer responded with proof of ownership and a threat of countersuit for frivolous litigation. No reply came. The aftermath was strange and quiet. Gossip spread, but the truth was clear to those who mattered. Vanessa, it turned out, had moved in with Jason into a tiny apartment he shared with 2 other roommates. The matured persona he had tried to project was a lie. They were struggling financially, and Celeste had cut ties completely. As for me, the condo was mine again. Clean, calm, and finally peaceful. I called in a deep cleaning crew, scrubbed every surface, changed locks, and felt the weight lift. I even sent one last follow-up email to friends. Subject, housewarming. This time for real body. Hey everyone. Apologies again for last month's unpleasantness. The air has been cleared and the trash officially taken out. I'm hosting the barbecue for real, 2 weeks from Saturday. My home, my rules. Hope you can make it. Vanessa is not invited. Amelia. The RSVPs poured in. The condo was alive with laughter, friends, and sunlight. I had reclaimed not just my space, but my life. And in that moment, I realized boundaries, truth, and self-respect were the most powerful weapons anyone could wield. I was free. The weeks after Jason and Vanessa left were strangely quiet. The condo, once a battlefield of manipulation and lies, now felt like a sanctuary. The sunlight poured through the windows, undisturbed by late-night arguments or hidden schemes. For the first time in months, I could breathe. I spent mornings making coffee on the balcony, the city below alive but peaceful, a reflection of my own reclaimed calm. Every corner of the condo reminded me of the battle I had fought, not just with Jason, Vanessa, or Celeste, but with the fear that maybe I had tolerated too much for too long. Friends reached out, cautiously at first, then with warmth. They had heard the rumors, the half-truths spun by Jason, but my truth was clear. The support was overwhelming, and for the first time, I allowed myself to feel proud. Not arrogant, not defensive, just proud. It wasn't just about winning the war, it was about understanding myself. I realized how easily respect could be eroded when boundaries were ignored, and how important it was to defend not just my home, but my dignity. Every tactic I had used, documentation, legal notice, calm confrontation, was a lesson in self-preservation and emotional intelligence. Even the art print on the wall, framed with its original receipt nearby, became a symbol. Not of material possession, but of proof, of certainty, of standing my ground when everything around me threatened to collapse. And then there was the party, my real barbecue. I sent invitations once more, watching RSVPs roll in, feeling the warmth of trust and community re-enter my life. People laughed, shared stories, and for the first time, the apartment felt alive in the way it should. Open, inviting, and joyful. I watched friends chat, the smell of grilled meat in the air, sunlight glinting off the windows. I felt the weight of months of tension lift from my shoulders. Jason and Vanessa were gone, their manipulations behind me, and I had emerged not bitter, but stronger, wiser, and clearer about what I would and would not accept in my life. Late that evening, I sat on the balcony with a glass of wine, reflecting. Betrayal had been painful, manipulation had been suffocating, and the emotional battles had been exhausting. But through it all, I had learned the power of clarity, patience, and meticulous planning. I had learned that self-respect is non-negotiable, that boundaries are sacred, and that truth, once documented and presented, is unassailable. The city skyline shimmered under the twilight, and I allowed myself a small smile. This home, these friends, this life, I had fought for them, and I would never take them for granted again. As I locked the balcony door that night, I felt a profound sense of closure. Not revenge, not triumph over others, but victory over fear, over hesitation, over the lingering shadows of doubt. I had claimed my space, my peace, and my dignity. And in that quiet, reflective moment, I realized the hardest battles often yield the deepest lessons, and the most intense storms leave the brightest sunlight. I was free, truly, completely, and unapologetically free.